So we're at our final webcomic for this time around, and it's one based off the tried and true idea of video game parodies. This time parodying JRPGs. Honestly, there's a joke on the internet that like 75% of webcomics are video game based, and half of that are video game parodies. So this was inevitable. And again, there are a ton of video game based webcomics, and even more so based off JRPGs, and the J variety at that. So, what makes this one special? Well, this one decides to tell its own story, which again doesn't make it completely unique, and they're trying to still do that. But let me explain the plot and explain what I like about this series. Cucumber is a young bunny boy who's ready to begin his first days of magic school, all packed up and ready to go. However, before he can walk out the door, his father is arrested by the Queen, and it's revealed the Queen is actually evil. She's planning to take over the world, and Cucumber is forced onto the task of stopping her by collecting the items known as disaster stones and preventing the villains from awakening the Nightmare Knight, as well as his various subordinates. However, Cucumber ultimately just wants to be a mage, while his younger sister, Almond, wants to be a legendary knight. And, well, he really has no choice in the matter, as he's pretty much forced into the role. On top of that, the heroic goddess, who supposed to be his backup, gave away his legendary sword, and so he's out on his own with his sister, no sword, and whatever little magic he can conjure up against the forces of evil. All the while, well, the world just seems to slowly get more cold. It's a tough journey ahead for Cucumber, but he has some allies by his side, and maybe, just maybe, he'll be able to pull out a win. So first off, the first thing that you notice about this series is the quality of the artwork. It's some fine art. It honestly reminds me of a Kirby game or a similar style game. The artwork is colorful with the right style of cartooniness and some well done character designs. It almost seems as though the entire thing is colored in crayons, which actually goes to fit the world a bit better. And honestly, I just love it. Especially, again, the character designs. As also the fact that every character is somewhat based off a food joke. Again, Cucumber, there's a group called the BLT Trio, Almond, etc., etc., etc. They're not all similar foods, like, not everybody's nuts, but, it's still a pretty interesting gimmick for a naming scheme. One of the most interesting things about this series is most of the people sending Cucumber on his quest are always pretty unhelpful. His father is pretty much a jerk-ass who actually gets him into more trouble somehow from his jail cell, and ultimately just pressures his son to becoming a knight. And Legendary Goddess, again, gave his sword away to someone random, and we later find out it's just a random thief. So yeah, the people that are supposed to be helping him are completely worthless in actuality. Hell, there's a recurring joke that his father constantly breaks out of prison, but really doesn't do anything besides walking around the castle, and being up to shenanigans here or there. Not really anything to help his son out, well, will he? He's generally forced into a situation and tries his hardest to get the job done, even if it's terrifying and he's ultimately outmatched, which is almost constantly. His sister, on the other hand, is in love with this kind of crap, as she does want to become a hero and save the world. While Cucumber does not, just wants to go to magic school in order to learn to be a mage. And if it wasn't for the forced nature by his parents, I honestly imagine she would be the main character, but again, then we want to have the central joke of the work in question. Of course, our villains are no slouch in the story either. Nightmare Knight is a pretty good villain. Born to destroy the world in an endless cycle, he's slowly learning some form of empathy despite, again, being the destroyer of the world. Overall, I have to say, if you're a fan of fun JRPGs, I say take a look at this one. On top of that, if you're just intrigued by the art style, if you're curious, then take a look at it. It's currently over 800 pages, so you've got a lot to get into if you do get into it. So definitely check it out. Till next time, everybody.